Put yourself in the shoes of an NBA bust. Your dream comes true when you are drafted super high in the draft. It feels like everything is going right, and then all of a sudden you become one of the most hated people in the world overnight. These guys' everyday lives must be super weird. How do you ever recover from being called not good enough by the entire world? Are famous NBA busts insecure or still confident? Let's take a look at some of the biggest busts in NBA history and see how their lives after basketball have gone. But first, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I post NBA videos every 3 days, and trust me, I got some really big things coming and you are not gonna want to miss out on what I have next. Also, I barely plug my Twitter, so hey, why not? If you like my content, go follow me over there too. It is at KOGOSTOMUS. Let's start this video off with the great Darko Milicic. Nobody ever thought that Darko would be the number 2 pick, especially over guys like Carmelo Anthony and Dwayne Wade. But he had an incredible workout with the Pistons days before the draft, and the rest was simply history. I think when someone says the phrase NBA bust, Darko is the first name that comes to mind. And being the face of busts in basketball gotta be hard on someone. He once said, quote, "I was just trying to find my peace. I am always gonna be remembered as a bust. They give you a stamp right there and that's it." All of Darko's pent-up anger about being a bust finally let itself out in 2007, 4 years into his NBA career. Take a look at this interview I'm about to show you. This is arguably some of the craziest stuff an NBA player has ever said.
Ova pičketina, ove tri govnara, a misle su neki kurac. Doći ću, jebat ću im mater u pičku svoj trojici, bre. Jebem li mu ja mamu nabeđenu italijansku pičku, brate. Eto, to ću kažem.
Darko, malo se smiri, pa utisci utakmici.
A govnar, bre, popuši mi kurac, malo je to napišite, brate. Jebat ću mu kevicu, malo na usta, bre. Ako ima čerku i čerku ću da mu kažem. Eto.
Oh, and Darko got no punishment for this. Turns out if you don't speak American, there's nothing the NBA can do. Anyways, Milicic retired in 2013 after playing a whopping 1 game with Boston that year, and most of us thought that this was the end of Darko. But nope. As a matter of fact, Milicic would continue his streak of awful luck for years. In 2014, he became a professional kickboxer, and in his first ever fight, he was knocked out. That's okay though, maybe kickboxing wasn't his thing. I mean, he was a pro NBA player, so going back to basketball couldn't be that bad, right? Wrong. A 350-pound Milicic signed with a professional Serbian team in 2019. And in his debut, he scored only 2 points and got a shoulder injury that would end his professional career for good. Not the greatest way to come back. Since then, as Milicic has said, he just wants to find peace. And he has, becoming a farmer in his home country of Serbia. And yes, I am aware that Serbia is a country and not a town. I did not need 50,000 comments about that on my Jokic video. I sincerely apologize. Anyways, on Milicic's farm, he had 125 acres of land, 2,000 apple trees, and 10,000 pounds of fruit. Turns out, despite the 7-foot frame, Darko was meant to be a farmer all along. Now let's talk about Adam Morrison. Morrison was called the next Larry Bird, but instead he turned out to be the next big bust in NBA history, playing only 4 seasons and averaging just 8 points a game for his career. Morrison is now only really known for riding the bench for 2 championship Lakers teams. He also holds the record for the shortest interview in NBA history.
Hi, I'm Max Flower. I'm here with Adam Morrison, and he's going to tell us about his secrets to success. Adam?
Just working hard and, doing the right things every day.
Well, Adam, thank you for your time, and I wish you the best of luck. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Adam.
Talk about a true inspiration. After his career, Morrison kept it very low-key. He has 2 daughters and owns a massive field in Washington. In 2013, he went back to Gonzaga and got his degree while being the team's assistant coach. Currently, he is the team's radio commentator, but Morrison has been so quiet that it has almost backfired. People think something suspicious is up. In 2016, former Gonzaga player Kyle Wiltier said this about Morrison, quote, "The guy is fully equipped if there was an apocalypse. He's got food stationed away, everything. He could survive everything. Yeah, he's got guns, a bunker, everything. I mean, he already gives off the look of an insane person, so everybody just believed these rumors. But they're not true. Turns out the guy just owns some guns in his basement, which isn't as exciting." Morrison has said that he used to be really upset about how his NBA career turned out, but with time he grew to accept it. Quote, "There was a time in the past it was really upsetting. I didn't play well my first year, and then I got a knee injury. Then there was a new coach, and I got traded to a very good team. So that part is frustrating, but at the same time I had so many life experiences. I made so many friends and did so many things that other people never had the opportunity to do. I had a good career leading up to that, and I'm settled with it." Next on the chopping block is Greg Oden. Some people don't consider him a bust because of injuries, but come on, 3 seasons played for a first overall pick definitely isn't living up to expectations. Sometimes life just isn't fair like that, but that doesn't mean that Oden still isn't a big-time bust. The thing is, Oden never really liked basketball. Before his growth spurt, he was a quiet, nerdy kid without many friends, and he planned on becoming a dentist. An assistant coach at his high school once said about him, quote, "He never wanted to be a basketball player. That wasn't his thing. Yes, he played basketball, but basketball didn't define him in his mind." An assistant at Ohio State also agreed with this statement, saying this about him, quote, "He really needed to be 5'11" and a bookworm. It was what he was meant to be." Nowadays, Oden says that he doesn't mind being called an NBA bust. He even calls himself, quote, "the biggest bust in NBA history all the time, according to both himself, his family, and the media." He said that he does this to take power away from the phrase, but others suspect that his failed career lives in his head rent-free. So it's up to you to decide which is true.
I'll be remembered as the biggest bust in NBA history.
After his career, Oden became an alcoholic for about a year, but thankfully he recovered. It took some time, but he eventually learned that his short NBA career allowed him to become what he was always meant to be, a nerd. He returned to Ohio State in 2017 and got himself a degree while taking many advanced classes. He now has a wife and a daughter, and he's doing great financially. He saved up most of his money. His life today has barely anything to do with basketball. Finally, we have Kwame Brown, who, of all these busts, definitely gets it the worst. For some reason, Stephen A. Smith felt the need to just tear into Kwame at every chance he got, turning the man into the biggest joke in NBA history.
Number 2, and more importantly, Kwame Brown is gone. The city of Angels, Hollywood, just shouldn't be celebrated. Throw a parade already, whether you win the championship or not. This man was a bona fide scrub. He can't play. No disrespect whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth. The man cannot play the game of basketball. He has small hands. He can't catch the ball. He's got bad feet. He can't really move, even though he's mobile. Doesn't really know what he's doing. Doesn't have a post move that he puts to memory that he can do 2 times in a row. He has no game whatsoever. Plays no defense. Doesn't have the heart, the passion, or anything that comes with it. And you're asking me whether they gave up too much? Please.
This kind of abuse was totally unnecessary, and you can see that the hate got to him even during his career. Brown always played timidly and went from the most hyped high school kid in the nation to one of the NBA's most pathetic players pretty quickly. Worst of all was that Kwame Brown used the internet a lot and didn't do anything to avoid the hate. He heard all of it, and it clearly affected him. In 2017, Brown did an interview with Sports Illustrated, and it was very telling. He made a lot of really good points about how the Lakers still played him when he was injured, that Michael Jordan hurt his development, and that he saw himself as a success because he grew up homeless and turned into a millionaire. All the other busts on this list don't take the label that seriously anymore, but Brown had a lot to say and still seemed not happy about things. He's a very smart guy, but he's also a very hurt guy, and maybe he should just let it all go. You're not gonna change the internet. Brown lives a quiet life, but he has joined the Big Three League and seems to be just enjoying himself with some NBA friends. This is a great move, and it looks like Brown is finally starting to move on. The moral of this story is that the way the internet looks at NBA players is not the same way that NBA players look at themselves. Darko, Adam Morrison, Greg Oden, and Kwame Brown will always be nothing more than disappointments to the NBA world, and there's nothing they can do to control that. But they can control themselves. And as Milicic said earlier in this video, you just have to find your peace. Darko found it in farming, Morrison and Oden found it in going back to school, and Kwame is currently trying to find it by getting out of the spotlight and just enjoying life with his friends. The voices of the people can be tough to handle, and sometimes this leads to bumps in the road, whether that be in the form of alcoholism or in the form of a viral fit of rage. But either way, as time goes on and these guys give their lives new purposes, they can indeed overcome this nasty, nasty label. And that is where we are going to conclude today's video. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to subscribe. Clicking that little red button literally takes like half a second, and you made it all the way to the end of the video, so clearly you liked something about it. I also have some really big projects dropping very soon, and you are not gonna want to miss out on them. Trust me. Of course, you can follow my Twitter. It is @KOGOSTOMUS. And with that, stay safe out there.